Oh, it's time for the mailbag. Jesse of Nothing, Arizona asks, isn't the world in turmoil enough without psychic warfare added into the mix? Jesse, yes. I assume that you're referring to the U.S. Army's remote viewing program. And though the original training manual is available through Google, it was never classified or qualified for copyright. I'll save you a lot of time, because guess what all blubbermental documents are about? Proceduralism and paperwork. Literally, the second paragraph of the manual mentions plenty of paper. The Army's approach to remote viewing is rooted in the age-old mystic traditions, but with new terminology and the addition of file folders, 3-ring binders, bureaus, both in the sense of cabinets and of offices, and, well, you get the idea with that. The Army has the remote viewer tap into what is termed the matrix, the non-material structure of universal information, pictured as a vast geometric arrangement of dots. Carl Jung called it the collective unconsciousness. The Transcendentalist called it cosmic consciousness. New Agers call it higher awareness. The Theosophists called it the Akashic Records, a compendium of all universal events and thought, past to present to future, encoded in the mental plane. I'm just as happy with the etheric field, but to each his own. How to tap into the matrix. The Army uses an analogy from radio propagation theory and proposes a signal line that transfers etheric data to the remote viewer. The Army manual does preserve a great old word, evoking. An occult summoning calls forth a response from the matrix into one's autonomic nervous system. And that initially results in the creation of an ideogram as the remote viewer's pencil touches paper. You'll already be saying to yourself, that sounds like the automatic writing or automatic drawing made famous by the spiritualists in their seances. And you're spot on as usual. When the pencil first touches the paper, it's exactly like when a Tibetan shaman touches the point of a ritual dagger into the earth. Just as the Army pins down waves of variations in the ethers, the shaman envisions the wavy world serpent and spears it to stop any confusing noise in the environment. All such ritual work seeks to open a window, which the Army terms an aperture, into the cosmos. The pencil begins moving as the viewer's autonomic nervous system spontaneously picks up a transmission from the matrix. After an ideogram comes through, the viewer reflexively jots down words based upon impressions derived from the matrix. Feelings, motions, sights, sounds, smells, temperatures, energies. The Army cautions against a remote viewer's innate propensity for analytic overlays, for jumping to erroneous conclusions, lest non-objective considerations degrade or preclude psychic functioning. That makes sense because if you pull out of the zone and activate your conscious mind, you're no longer channeling, as the spiritualist would call it. We might liken it to enjoying an amazing meal at a restaurant. As you relish the food, you experience the entire matrix of flavor combinations and enjoy a state of consciousness that transcends your mundane contemplations. But if the chef comes to your table and begins detailing his recipe and procedures, your analytic mind activates and you're pulled out of the higher zone you'd been experiencing. Minus unscientific procedural details, that's what constitutes a military remote viewing report. But mightn't you get more out of these age-old esoteric concepts at home? The Army uses strings of numbers, geocoordinates, to access the signal line for acquiring information remotely. But for those of us soldiering on, though not conscripted, why not seek access to off-world locales? At the top of your paper, why not write down a target like the dark side of the moon, or the pyramids of Mars? Could someone you know be trapped in limbo, or the bardo, or in a UFO? Could there be another sort of universe invisibly overlapping with yours? And if so, could you remote view it? Why not try tapping into some of the many conceptions of heaven and hell that humankind has envisioned over many centuries? Write down your target, hold your pencil just above the middle of the page, envision the matrix, be receptive to a signal line, allow the pencil to move without consciously controlling it, then write down any words that seem to shimmer through the liminal zone. And you know what? Your report will be just as legitimate as an Army psychic warrior's. The Army wouldn't agree with that, but they're full of... eyewitness reports famously never agree. Everyone sees life through their own perspectives and through their own filters. So your remote viewing will be just as scientific as anybody's. By the way, the Army theory is governed by the idea of quitting on a high point to avoid the pitfalls of overtraining. And that's actually quite a good tip for life.
Is the secret to invisibility within the purview of the elven ibis? Elven ibis. Do it at the right time. Do it for the right reasons. Do it with the right people. Elven ibis. Do it for the ghost of a smile.
Inquire now about the 3-step program. Elf and Ibis not included. Offer good from the Ibes of March till the Elven.